In this lecture, we're going to continue with the CIA Triad, and here we're going to talk about integrity. Integrity and confidentiality are closely tied together. If one is not effective, then the other won't be either. If we're keeping our data completely secure in confidentiality, but someone is able to change the data, well then it's not viable data anymore. It's not usable. The other way around is the same. If we have great integrity, but our confidentiality is breached, well then the integrity doesn't matter much either. And the threats that we have against our integrity are very similar to the ones we had against confidentiality. Here, since of course it is integrity, they're making some sort of changes to our data, and that could happen through code injections or attacks on our cryptography. And we would use countermeasures that are similar to what we do for the confidentiality. We use cryptography, we use checksums, message digest, or hashes. And if you don't know what those are, don't worry, we will cover them. But they're basically a short alphanumeric string that can be 30 letters, numbers, or characters, and all they do is saying the integrity of this document is the same. If I take a book that is 500 pages long, I do a hash on it. If I change one comma in all of those 500 pages, the hash will be entirely different. I have no clue what changed, but I can see something was changed. So we can do the same thing with our data. You might also have seen it when you download some program from the internet. You download the program, and then below the download, they have this is what the hash should look like. If you hash your program, the one that you downloaded, if that matches with what they have, well then you can to some degree of certainty say this is the original file. And you'll see this throughout the course. Many of the countermeasures that we implement will be countermeasures that will help with multiple things. And it sort of makes sense, right? If we have strong access control on a database, they can't change the confidentiality, well then they probably can't change the integrity either. One of the biggest hacks that we know about, where integrity was the key component that the attacker was targeting, was the Stuxnet worm. It was developed by the US and Israel, and it was targeting Iranian nuclear centrifuges. All it did was make them spin slightly faster, not really noticeable, maybe 1 or 2%. But that then would make them break at a much higher rate. And since the Iranian nuclear plant was air-gapped, meaning there was no access at all to the outside, that worm infected hundreds of millions of systems. But on all those systems, it would check for 2 things, and if those 2 things were not present, then it would just propagate as a worm, go and infect more devices. But even with the facility being air-gapped, an engineer was foolish enough to bring a USB drive from home. It had some pictures on it, and he brought it to work. Big no-no. If he had the proper training, we had raised his awareness, that would never have happened. His home PC was infected, that then propagated to the USB drive. He plugged that in at work, that infected the centrifuges, and here the US and Israel didn't care about confidentiality. They knew everything about those centrifuges. All they wanted was to alter the integrity of the data a little bit. Enough to break the centrifuges at a much higher rate. And with that, we are done with integrity. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next lecture where we start on availability.